cultural implications of the Indian English novel. Alright, so what she's trying to do is try to understand the cultural implications and what are the effects of on a culture of using a particular language, of using the English language to write. Alright, she is not trying to praise the Indian English writer, or she is not trying to belittle the Indian English writer. She's not doing neither of those things. She is just trying to understand the implications of the Indian English novel upon the nation as such. So Indian writing in English, okay, as we have already discussed in the previous essay, the study of Indian literature is something that is quite recent, and even more recent than that is the Indian writing in English. Okay, it goes back only to the 1930s, and the first generation of Indian English writers, they were continually fighting with the alienness of and the elitism that comes with the English language. They were fighting against it, all right, and they had a very, very difficult time trying to deploy certain thematic or formal devices to tether or to pull their text to the indigenous context. All right, they had to work very hard for that. If I'm writing in Malayalam, it is very easy for me to for example to talk about a very, very traditional concept like a Malayali Brahmanical or a Nambudiri family living in a Nalagatti veedu. But if I am trying to say the same thing in English, it becomes a very, very difficult task to tether it to the indigenous context, all right, because English comes with its alienness, English comes with its elitism. Okay, so this compulsory act is there was a compulsory need to represent things that are very, very Indian in a language that is foreign. This compensatory act was not necessarily undertaken self-consciously. Okay, so it was not a self-conscious thing that oh, I am writing in English, that's why I have to be very, very sure that I write only about Indian things. It was not a self-conscious thing. It was its effect was also not always unobtrusive. Mulk Raj Anand, who is a very famous Indian English writer, he was angry at the class and caste inequalities, as is evident in his work Untouchable, right? There's Bhavani Bhattacharya, who exposed religious charlatanism. There's Kamala Markandeya, who's always talking about the unspecified Indian women and how they are misrepresented and not represented in the world. Okay, so these anxieties of Indianness, these are the anxieties that Indians have, right? The problems of caste, religion, the female problem, these are the anxieties that are Indian, and they are choosing to write about these in English. Okay, so such illustrative cases of this anxiety manifested in themes are the efforts as the efforts of Raja Rao or G.V. Desani or Sudhin and Ghose. Even they also were describing much the same thing. Okay, so what happens is that there is a conscious effort to, even when the writer is writing in English, it's not that they are writing about, just because they are using a foreign language does not mean that they are writing about foreign things. They are writing about very, very Indian issues, right? So that happens. That is the compensatory act of mixing the alien with the indigenous. Okay, what happens is that the alien language is being used to describe the indigenous activities. All right. Then she goes on and talks about R.K. Narayan and his Malgudi Days. I hope you are familiar with Malgudi Days. If you've not read it, I hope you've all at least watched this TV series that was in Doordarshan, okay? Or at least you must have heard about Swami and Friends. That is a very, very famous story. So that is a part of Malgudi Days, okay? She goes on to talk about how, if you have seen, at least if you have not, please go and watch at least one episode of Malgudi Days and come back. So what happens there is that there is a Malgudi is an Indian village, okay, and it is a quintessential Indian village. It is ordinary and uneventful. No great things are happening there. It is all very, very, very Indian. Every single event that happens is something that you might see in your own villages. All right, so why is R.K. Narayan describing something that is very, very common? There is nothing out of the place. Okay, it's very, very it's all very basic is what I can say. So what is always emphasized is the Indianness of that particular village, of the particular stories. All right, and why is he doing that is a question. Now why is he trying to bring out only the Indianness is something that we need to analyze. All right, one second. So if you look at Malgudi, Malgudi is a town, is a very, very small village, not a town, sorry, where its characters are always called Swami or Sen or Krishnan or Pal or Daisy or Kamala. What it shows is a very, very harmonious, homogeneous picture. There is no diversity there. That is the issue. India is diverse. India has different religions. India has various different classes and castes and everything else. It's a mixture. All right, and nowhere is it as harmonious as it is presented by R.K. Narayan. So what is he trying to do? All right, he's presenting Malgudi as a Hindu upper caste pan India that is resistant to change. It is eternal. It is not going to change. Nothing is going to ever affect it. So why is he doing that? All right, now what we need to understand is that all the early Indian writers, all right, all the early Indian writers, when they were writing, they had to present this pan-Indian picture. Why? Because just because R.K. Narayan is from Tamil Nadu, if he wrote only about the area of Tamil Nadu or the particular region of Tamil Nadu that he came from, he's writing in English, it would not be acceptable to the wider audience who are probably reading from Delhi or from any other part of the world. They would not understand the very, very, very regional aspects. But if he presents a pan-Indian homogeneous identity, that will be much more easily acceptable to the wide audience that he is intending in his work, right? But on the other hand, regional writers, when they write, they can, Malgudi is a fictional place. It does not exist. You cannot find the longitude and latitude of Malgudi anywhere on any map because it is a fictional place. But on the other hand, many other regional writers, when they write, sometimes they present places that you can find on the maps, because when they write, suppose if I am writing a Malayalam work, I can give you the example. She is also using the example of O.V. Vijayan's text, all right, of how when he wrote Khasak and Itihasam, even though Khasak is also made up, that Karimpanas are found in Palakkad area, so it must be from that particular area. Bashir, when he writes, the dialect that he writes in, you can easily identify the regional ideas, that regional concepts that come up in his works. Why? Because he is writing only for the Malayali audience. So he does not need to care about whether someone sitting in some remote corner of the world will understand why ende uppupaikku oru aana undayirunnu and why is this word uppupa used. Right? So those kind of things are not a problem for the regional writers, but when it comes to the Indian English writer, they have to present things in this pan-Indian manner. All right, so there is a homogenization. Homogeneous means sameness, all right, and essentializing of India. That means the essence of India as homogeneous, as what is Malgudi is being presented, is what becomes the picture of India that is presented to the rest of the world. And this happens because there is an uncertainty of target audience. All right, there is an uncertainty of target audience. All right, so she is not trying to say that this ethnographic documentation, that is, ethnographic documentation means when you correctly place the setting of your work. All right, it's not important in a literary work, but it can only be done by someone who is writing in a regional bhasha, is what she means. All right, so in his bare, unadorned, understated manner, Narayan is trying to do is, he's achieving a range of effects that are not possible for others. All right, and it is in his hands. It becomes India becomes a one-stringed instrument, much like a sitar or a veena. All right, so even in the hands of the master, okay, even though R.K. Narayan is a master storyteller and you will never get bored reading the Malgudi days, it becomes a very, very homogeneous picture, that it becomes a one-stringed instrument. So even in the hands of the master, the one-stringed instrument cannot become a sitar or a veena, is what she says. Why? Because even though Narayan has the humor and the talent to, use all the constraints that he was facing to his advantages, the fact that, he presents an India that cannot be easily digestible by the Indian audience, or, it can be easily identified by the Indian audience, but it is very homogeneous. We cannot believe in such a place. Okay, it is very, very non-believable. It becomes very fictional for us. So that is why even someone as talented as Narayan could not do it, and that is why, Indian writing in English is destined to remain a one-stringed instrument. So that is the end of part 2. We'll continue the rest in the next video. Thank you.